Hey guys, what's up? It's your course director, Emily. Just wanted to give you some feedback on these visual resumes that you recently submitted. So, I'm going to take a look at these one by one and point out a few things that need your attention. Couple of things to start though, and that is that making sure you're establishing a clear connection between your skills and experiences and what you want to do in the media communications industry. If you, in that process, identify a gap, meaning that like you don't have the skills and experience to do what it is like in your career objective or ultimately, your career path when you leave Full Sail, you need to be asking your question, how can I gain that experience or re-evaluate what I've done to see if I can tease elements out that support my career objectives in that way. And when you are looking at what you've done in the past, I would say, how can you talk about your accomplishments in that role and not just what your responsibilities were? Because every job comes with tasks, but it's how you perform those tasks that make you unique and valuable, and that's something that you want to be able to highlight. Spell check, even though you're using a visual design program to create these things, you need to make sure that you run the spell check, but also have a set of human eyes go through your resume, a trusted source. Wendy Walzer is a great person to connect with on this, as is course director Kevin De La Serna, who will be working with you extensively on your resumes in the upcoming Portfolio 7 class. I've had students who want to talk about, let's say, customer service related skills, except they spell it costumer, and that's not something that spell check is going to catch. And last but not least, your resume, like your portfolio website, should be like a living, breathing entity in that it's not done. You're never going to tie a bow on it because you're always going to get more experience, more skilled, or at least even become better at communicating or articulating what you're doing in your roles to seek the kinds of opportunities that you want to in the industry. So all that to say, this is an evolution, and so get comfortable with revisiting this. So we're going to start here with Kayla. This was a visual resume, so I'm going to point out some things in terms of the visual. Stylistically, this flare does not, it's not as cohesive with the rest of what we see. There's a lot of flourish in this, but there's no flourish elsewhere. This K and R are different than what we see here, so there is a disconnect in the brand or the consistency of the brand. This seems a bit more aligned with who I know you to be. I don't know if you're just looking to fill this space, but if you have some questions about that, let's talk about it. Over here in this sort of pink section, some things, you have the white on the pink kind of as areas to like draw our eyes to. And I think that it stands out, the white does. There's more contrast, as you can see, between these two things here. So go ahead and make all of the content in this area white. Anything in the pink should be white, including the icons, including these headings here. I would also give these headings a bit more margin space. So I'm going to draw something out here. Like make the pink bar like about this big, right? Just so that the word profile doesn't look kind of so scrunched up in there. Scrolling down, anytime you have your collegiate experience, you're not going to need to list your high school there. With your social media, there are this inconsistency in these icons, right? So here it's outlined and here it's sort of filled. I would look for a more consistent version of that. I don't see anywhere here to link to a portfolio website, which I think would probably be valuable for you to talk in more depth about, all of the projects that you work on. I would elevate your experience higher up here and move your skills down. These skills are professional, and I think these are the skills that you really embody in your work experience, right? So like as a producer, and as like a project lead, this is the stuff you're really, leaning on. And I don't think those are necessarily just personal, right? So I would actually call these your professional skills, and maybe I would call these your technical skills over here. I am just super impressed with the work that you do and the way that you do it. And I think that just with a few tweaks here, instead of kind of this like full paragraph, I would say, what can I tease out of what I've shared here to bulk up these two sections? And if you have your portfolio website readily available, then you can, go into even more depth about who you are and how you're going to add value in particular roles. Some things to like note too is that when you guys are using templates, which this is, the name of this template looks like it's Yellow Confetti Teacher Creative Resume. And so, you're going to need to go into and retitle like this document. I don't know if that's the file name or it's the document title, but that's something that you guys need to update. I saw it here, and then I also saw it for Jason with pale turquoise social media manager simple resume. So, that would be something to update so that it just says Jason Ferrer or Kayla Reyes, okay? Jessica, so highly visual. Something that I was curious about was that, like, was the petty sloth going to make an appearance here? So I see we've got petty sloth here, but like we've a little bit of a disconnect, right? So we've got two identities. I want you to be thinking about how do you pull this into one cohesive, identity for yourself. I love the simplicity of this. Editor, motion graphics, illustrator. That's who I know you to be. We've got your contact information up here. And just ways that we can go and see your work. Since this is so simple, I would kind of maybe tease this out a little bit more, or make it more visible so that I can go actually check out your editing and all of this good stuff down here. You've got some keyword stuff here, right? But like you don't have, what if I don't actually know what this means or this means? And it kind of looks like the icons are cool, but the PR is bigger than the other letters. If you made these, I would just make them consistent because look how little the E is in comparison. I don't know, I just caught that as being a little bit inconsistent. This is cool. I mean, like I dig what you've done here. It's a wonderful like one pager, sort of like here are the highlights about what I do. Make this like a cohesive identity with Petty Sloth or not. Maybe it's just Jess Kong. Highlight your portfolio site because people have to see what you do. And the same way that you say editing here next to this icon, it needs to say After Effects. And use the word Adobe in there somewhere. All right, Jason turned in 2, so he's got multimedia and then events and operations. So I appreciate that you have customized these in those ways. You have your about information that talks about you as a video person, and being a personality. Kind of gives a nice, little bit of a bio here. This, like the text is pretty small. Some of this stuff like awarded the scholarship and this and that, would be more appropriate for say a website about me or bio. I would, instead of like take up 6 lines of text here, I would talk in more depth about what I did in this work experience, right? So like, I would go just much more in depth here than when I could read about you in this way on your website. You are practically a professional, so this whole like, sites.google.com is not going to do. You need to invest in that custom domain name. And it's cool that you have not just provided your education here, but like given some of your student history or your student achievements. So that's what we were talking about, not just what you did, but how you did it. And that's here. Great consistency, except for the Facebook icon is a little bit different because it's got a white F in there. So that one stands out as just a little bit different. Overall, this is a really nice version of your media-related work. jumping over to your events and operations. So left align this text. Anytime you have paragraph text, meaning more than a simple statement or header, you want to left align it for more easy readability. Again, this seems like it could be about bio information rather than what we see here. Your experience is also like, it's going to be the first thing that you should put like at the top, because that, and this needs to be more detailed. There's a little bit of stylistic panache here that, you could rearrange this in such a way to talk about this stuff more in depth, which like it's a great experience. So you need to spell it out a little bit more. Yeah, this is fantastic, Jason. Both of these are good versions. What I'll say is that get really comfortable with updating either one of these. All of you get really comfortable in as much as like you'll have to customize it for whatever job you are applying for and kind of whatever opportunity you're chasing. If you guys have any questions about this feedback, let me know. And I look forward to kind of helping you to your next best place with these.